I don't know anything about SCP besides that it is huge. It's huge, I think. Huge. And I also know that there's a guy, this guy, the SCP explained, the narrator, he was talking about how there's this guy who wanted to get government secrets, so he trained an AI model. Always really good idea, right, to do that. He trained it to be able to get government secrets, and all he gets now is SCP lore, because the AI model cannot do what he wants it to do, and you know, AI is pretty stupid. So we got a couple videos here. We have some other kind of like introductory videos, because like I said, it seems like SCP is like a lot of different entities, I'm gonna call them. I don't know if that's actually what they're called, but there's a lot of information. So I picked these ones to be the ones we'll watch.
In an undisclosed location,
Oh
a
god,
woman
the
is
hot
being
one, you
tortured.
guys were...
The methods of her
Run.
abuse are too horrific to be described, and her torture...
Wait, what?
In an undisclosed location, a woman is being tortured.
What?
The methods of her abuse are too horrific to be described, and her torturers are death row prison inmates, the absolute worst of the worst.
Huh?
This woman's torture is constant, and procedures are put into place to make sure she never becomes accustomed to the pain. If ever her torturers express sympathy toward their victim, their superiors will have them removed and replaced. If they try to rescue her or put her out of her misery, they themselves will be shot without hesitation.
What?
The woman being tortured is known only as SCP-231-7, and worst of all, she's pregnant.
What?
The cause of her eternal torture? The SCP Foundation. And you'll be shocked to learn that when all is said and done, these are the good guys, because if they ever stop their brutal treatment of SCP-231-7, a treatment codenamed Procedure 110 Montauk, she'll give birth to a creature that will destroy the world as we know it. This is just one of the many examples of the objects and entities under the watchful eyes of the SCP Foundation,
What
a
the
mysterious
hell?
group that strives to achieve greater good by any means necessary, and we do mean any. What you're about to hear is above classified, and be warned, what is heard can never be unheard, unless, of course, the Foundation gets its hands on you. So what is the SCP Foundation?
Oh, goodness gracious.
In the most basic sense, the group's mission statement is right there in the SCP acronym. Secure, contain, protect. It's the task of the Foundation to, in their own words, contain anomalous objects, entities,
Get
and
his
phenomena.
ass.
Things that don't make sense, things that don't belong, things that simply don't fit in with our perception of reality, and some things that pose an existential threat to all human life. They refer to these contained anomalies as SCPs, each of which is accompanied by a number. This is a broad umbrella, as an SCP can range from benign or even actively helpful to downright apocalyptic if ever released. Much like the infamous Men in Black often reported by witnesses in connection with alien sightings, the Foundation works in secret to maintain a sense of normalcy at all costs, knowing the chaos it would cause if any of the anomalies they're harboring ever become public. Take, for example, SCP-500. To the untrained eye, the object is just an unassuming prescription pill bottle, the kind you'd see in medicine cabinets the world over. But the pills in this humble bottle are unlike any earthly medicine. They can cure quite literally anything, from cancer to a cold, within 2 hours. But at the time of this writing, there are only 47 pills left. The power to cure all disease, a privilege denied to even the richest and most powerful in society. A veritable holy grail. Can you imagine the violence and horror that would break out in trying to obtain them if their existence ever became public? The SCP Foundation works in secret because the collective mind of society just couldn't handle the knowledge of what they're dealing with. They work with the approval of all world governments, effectively placing them above international law. Essentially, there is no human authority above the Foundation, because without the Foundation's work, there would be no humans left to govern. To understand the basic operations of this above top secret organization, we need to delve a little further into that secure, contain, protect slogan. Secure refers to the Foundation's practice of constant global surveillance and observation in order to detect and intercept anomalous activity before it can interact with civilians or rival groups. Contain involves preventing the effects or influence of the anomaly from spreading by either, in their own words, relocating, concealing, or dismantling such anomalies, or by suppressing or preventing public dissemination of knowledge thereof. The latter can involve practices such as using advanced chemical compounds or technologies to delete and then rewrite the memories of infected civilians, or even committing mass murder if necessary to cover their tracks. The SCP Foundation has, in the past, wiped out entire towns of innocent civilians to prevent dangerous information about the SCP spreading beyond their control. In order to help them categorize the thousands of strange and horrifying anomalies under their watch, the Foundation has created a system that organizes the SCPs based on the difficulty of containing them. The first of the primary object classes is safe, pertaining to SCPs that require little, if any, resources to safely and properly contain. Examples include the previously mentioned SCP-500 pill bottle and SCP-999, a benevolent blob of gelatinous orange matter. SCP-999 has a playful, almost dog-like personality and causes feelings of happiness and euphoria in whoever or whatever it touches. It's even been used by the Foundation as a pacification tool to reduce aggression in other SCPs. The second primary object class is Euclid, which refers to any anomaly that requires more resources to contain completely or where containment isn't always reliable. This is the broadest SCP class, and the majority of sentient, sapient, or autonomous anomalies fall into this category. A Euclid SCP might be something as huge, sprawling, and bizarre as SCP-3008. This SCP appears to be a kind of anomalous pocket dimension hidden inside an IKEA superstore, which is not only significantly larger on the inside by approximately 10 kilometers, but also contains bizarre, faceless entities which can become hostile under the right conditions.
It's like that
a
Roblox
Euclid
game.
SCP, sadly,
That's
subjects
crazy.
dying during tests is not uncommon. The SCP Foundation essentially has limitless resources, including access to countless disposable workers and test subjects. The most common of these are so-called D-class personnel, which are death row inmates conscripted for the purposes of often lethal SCP experimentation or containment. The next primary object class is Keter, described by the Foundation as anomalies that are exceedingly difficult to contain consistently or reliably, with containment procedures often being extensive and complex. This can either be due to being an extremely volatile and dangerous anomaly or just one that seems to defy known laws of physics or reality, and is thus extremely difficult to understand or contain. The SCP Foundation has a vast number of secret facilities across the globe, and while the Keter-class SCPs are not nearly as common as the Euclid class, they consume a great deal more resources to safely contain. One particularly terrifying Keter-class SCP is SCP-354, colloquially known by the Foundation employees as the Blood Pond. This SCP is a large pool of non-biological red liquid discovered in North Canada that appears to be a kind of interdimensional primordial soup. What makes this SCP particularly hard to contain, as well as extremely frightening, is the fact that hostile entities periodically emerge from the pond and must be neutralized before they can escape the containment area. These entities have included a floating black sphere that can fire concentrated beams of deadly radiation, a 15-foot-tall reptilian humanoid that seemed immune to gunfire, and a homicidal metallic humanoid nicknamed the Terminator by Foundation personnel. The most highly classified primary object class of all is Thalmiel, which consists of SCPs used to contain other SCPs. This can range from SCP-7000-J, a book of Latin incantations bound in dinosaur skin that can summon various other entities, all the way to SCP-4006, which is the entire state of Massachusetts. Thalmiel class SCPs are the most bizarre and esoteric.
Massachusetts is an SCP? I knew it. They were always suspicious to me.
Of the anomalies dealt with by the Foundation, but thankfully, they often pose less of an active threat than many of the Euclid or Keter-class SCPs. Finally, as mentioned earlier, sometimes the SCP Foundation deems an anomaly too dangerous to contain and just needs to destroy it entirely. A terrifying example of a neutralized SCP and a perfect illustration for just how strange and abstract the anomalies dealt with by the Foundation can be is SCP-4991. This SCP manifested as a series of bizarre posts across a number of websites about an apocalyptic event that seemed to be occurring on a different layer of reality and seemed to indicate that a kind of deadly, parasitic, and carnivorous insect was spreading like wildfire across the globe, causing death and destruction in their wake. The SCP Foundation neutralized SCP-4991 by tracking down, containing, and erasing all infected posts across the internet before it could spread too far. Who knows what would have happened if the Foundation hadn't intervened? As is often the case with SCPs, it's probably best just not to think about it. The actual structure of the SCP Foundation is surprisingly transparent, with personnel classification levels ranging from Class A to Class E. Class A personnel are considered vital to the strategic operations of the Foundation and therefore are not allowed to be in direct contact in any way with any of the SCPs due to potential risks. Class B personnel are vital to local Foundation operations on SCP test sites and are only permitted to be in contact with SCPs deemed to be relatively safe. Class C personnel are field agents that have far more direct contact with the SCPs and often put themselves at great risk in doing so. Class D personnel, as previously mentioned, are essentially cannon fodder thrown into the jaws of death to discover more about the more dangerous anomalies on the SCP roster. And finally, Class E personnel are personnel that have been already exposed to the potentially dangerous effects of an unknown anomaly. Class E personnel are placed into quarantine until they're deemed fit to return to work or terminated, depending on the results of their observations. In terms of actual roles in the SCP Foundation, the top of the pyramid are the O5 Council members, Class A personnel who have total clearance and oversee all Foundation operations. Below them are Site Directors, who manage the various physical Foundation facilities across the globe and report back to the O5 Council. On site, researchers and containment specialists work together to better understand and combat the anomalies being housed at their particular facility. They're kept safe by the hard work of veteran security and tactical response officers, ready to lay down their lives to prevent more dangerous SCPs from ever escaping and reaching developed areas. In the event that an SCP does breach containment and escape, or a new one is discovered, field operatives are dispatched by the Foundation to get the situation under control. These will consist of field agents who already operate across the globe and specialized mobile task force operatives. The SCP Foundation has eyes and ears everywhere. Their organization is influential and is embedded in every facet of society, ready to strike and suppress an emerging anomaly before any ripples of its existence can reach the wider world. Even here, we've only really scratched the surface of the SCP Foundation's extensive and frankly mind-boggling global and historical operations. There's plenty of information about the Foundation online, many of which people assume is pure fiction, but wouldn't that be the perfect cover for a real secret organization wanting to cover its tracks? As the quote says, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he doesn't exist. Ultimately, the SCP Foundation is on the side of mankind, but that doesn't mean it'll always act in our best interests. After all, if it means preserving the peace and getting another anomaly under wraps, the Foundation won't hesitate to terminate you and everyone you know without a second thought. Whether you'd want to face off against the Foundation itself or one of the anomalies they wish to contain is ultimately up to you, but trust us, neither would end well for you. Oh, speaking of which, there's another SCP we forgot to mention that's quite literally unspeakable. SCP-2521 is a creature that's made entirely of strange black tendrils that envelop and smother the creature's prey. No written records of the creature exist outside of pictograms because it immediately attacks and consumes any information produced about it. This includes speech, as the creature will appear and consume anyone who—
Oh no!
Oh no, it's here! It's here, help me! Ah!
That guy
no mind to what you just
died!
witnessed. I, the infographics show narrator, am perfectly fine. We now recommend you watch Russian Sleep Experiment Explained and How a Meme Slender Man Became Real.
Dude, that's crazy. That was so much fucking information, though. That was a lot of information. I think I got it, though. I think I got it. That's crazy. I like the little jello one. The little jello one. I think it was SCP-999. Most dangerous SCPs explained.
SCP-096.
Oh, yeah.
SCP-096, known as the Shy Guy, is one of the most recognizable SCPs. This introvert lad is a highly dangerous Euclid-class entity contained by the SCP Foundation. It appears as a gaunt, bald, tall human with long arms and a disproportionately long Wojak jaw. SCP-096 otherwise remains calm, typically weeping in a fetal position like its ex-partner dumped them. If anyone sees its horrific face, directly, in a photo, or on video, it enters a rage mode. It attacks after a few seconds delay, persisting in seeking the game, ending the viewer regardless of distance or interference, leaving either zero or minimal signs of the victim. Underground, different city or continent does not matter. He will track you down. This is the photo which led to his discovery. 4 pixels. 4 damn pixels is what it took to enrage him. Covering its face has led to technologies such as Scramble. Despite lacking clear advanced intelligence, SCP-096 has shown emotion reactions and has even befriended a blind girl, sacrificing his life for her in the end. Even with his violent response to seeing his face and the broad threat of destruction, putting a trash bag over his head is well enough to fix the issue.
Yeah, nice. He's not that dangerous. I mean, we all just looked at his face, so...
SCP-682. SCP-682, known as the hard-to-destroy reptile,
this guy
is one of the most dangerous anomalies in the SCP Foundation. I mean, look at its name. That should give you a clue already. It's classified as Keter due to its immense threat level and repeated, many escape attempts. This massive reptilian creature possesses incredible strength, intelligence, and regenerative abilities. Tremendous regeneration. This reptile has been reduced to the equivalent of a pork chop and still regenerated his entire body, making it nearly impossible to terminate. SCP-682 harbors an intense hatred for all life, making him the ultimate hater, often describing humans as disgusting and every other negative word in the English dialect. He has been responsible for countless deaths during breaches. It can adapt to literally any threat, even altering its body, and is smart enough to strategize, manipulate, and exploit weaknesses, mental and physical. Despite its monstrous nature, SCP-682 has formed unlikely bonds with anomalies like SCP-053 and SCP-079. Yeah, not a duo you'd expect. Its appearance is crocodilian, with exposed bone and muscle due to constant acid immersion, which is where he usually stays like it's a bathtub, the Foundation's only semi-effective containment method.
Your delusions of self-importance. Laughable.
SCP-106. SCP-106, also known as the Old Man, is a Keter-class, horrific, disgusting anomaly with supernatural powers and such a screwed-up personality it makes these guys look like angels. With his decaying old body drenched with black, rusty, rotting skin and sunken eyes, SCP-106 secretes mucus with a pungent, corrosive quality that dissolves everything with which he contacts, phasing through objects, detecting human presence, and fading away into his own pocket dimension, a hellish plane in which he game ends and toys with victims, controlling this dimension however he wants. This fellow was once a quiet soldier of World War I named Lawrence. His gruesome transformation occurred after a mysterious event in the trenches when he became unaccountably jovial around the time of fatalities. Even though SCP-106 never speaks, he displays calculated brutality while stalking victims and hunting. Even in the game Containment Breach, he'd rather return back to his cell, which has a captured inmate for him than attempt escaping. It's literally this scenario.
Prisoner choose bread over the key. If you know the answer, you're a philosopher. It's a metaphor for the fact that we often choose temporary.
Because bread tastes better than key.
Okay, what the fuck? It's true. Bread.
SCP-610. SCP-610, known as the Flesh That Hates, is yet another hater. Oh, also a Keter-class anomaly, I suppose. It's one of the most grotesque and terrifying infections in the SCP Foundation universe. Originating in remote Russian townships, SCP-610 is a highly contagious disease that mutates human flesh into monstrous, fleshy abominations. The infection spreads through physical contact, rapidly transforming victims into grotesque forms with extra limbs, distorted features, and the ability to spread the infection by rooting into the environment. So these infected lads become aggressive and hostile, seeking out uninfected life to assimilate. The Foundation cannot directly observe SCP-610 due to its extreme hazard, relying instead on drones and remote systems to study the quarantine zones. These areas are under strict military lockdown. Explorations revealed underground tunnels, which were covered with infected flesh, leading to Operation Source Point to explore. The team entered the tunnels and discovered they were inside a giant creature. Spoiler alert, they all died. SCP-610 is not just a disease, it is a biological nightmare with connections to Yaldabaoth, the practitioners of Sarkicism, which I might cover someday down the line because it's a whole other can of worms.
So that SCP is basically the My Little Pony infection thing that was going around like last year on TikTok.
SCP-035. SCP-035, known as the Possessive Mask, is a highly big-brained and manipulative porcelain mask, which is somehow a Keter-class anomaly, which poses a psychological and existential threat to anyone who is near it. This cheap bastard is a white porcelain comedy mask that sometimes shifts to an expression of absolute horror, which alters every image of it. SCP-035 emits a powerful compulsion within 5 meters, which urges individuals in that range to wear it. Once worn, the mask completely takes over the host's body and mind, accessing their memories and using them as a puppet. SCP-035's corrosive black slop rapidly deteriorates the host's body, eventually game-ending it, after which the mask seeks a new victim. This twat loves to spill his slop all over the place, which destroys most materials, which makes it in a pain to contain permanently. It is cunning, persuasive, and obviously cruel, frequently driving people to madness or death through manipulation. With SCP-035 once being the court jester of the King of Alagata, and having personal ties to SCP-049, his history is long and complicated, which may explain his reason for being such an insufferable nuisance.
Why so anxious, Doc? Afraid of the exhibits? Getting too close, are we? How would
Why
you
are
like
you
some
so
hands-on
evil?
experiment?
Who hurt him?
SCP-173.
This one is so
SCP-173,
cute.
known as the Sculpture or the Peanut, is an extremely
Oh.
dangerous, most famous and first SCP.
The
It's a
Peanut.
Euclid-class anomaly which appears as a humanoid statue made of concrete and rebar, with traces of Krylon spray paint in this MS Paint type of pattern. Despite its
Aw.
inanimate presence, SCP-173 is animate and incredibly hostile.
What?
It can move at astonishing speeds, but only when not being observed. Once eye contact is broken, on sight, on camera, or anything, even by a blink, it rushes toward its target and game ends them by snapping the neck or strangulation. Because of this, containment protocols require at least 3 personnel to enter its chamber at a time, with 2 maintaining unbroken eye contact while the 3rd performs maintenance. His stupid statue's chamber often contains reddish-brown stains and piles of sludge, which is confirmed to be blood and feces, whose
Ew.
origin remains unknown. Not clear if it's his.
He's
SCP-173
pooping.
emits scraping stone noises when unobserved, which hints at constant movement. Thankfully, there's only one of them to look after. Wait a minute.
Huh. He's still kind of cute. Oh. Ooh.
SCP-966. Oh god, it just keeps getting worse. SCP-966, nicknamed the Sleep Killers, are a group of predatory, Keter-class anomalies that hunt by depriving their victims of sleep and the reason people have insomnia. These abominations are thin, hairless humanoids that only train their traps and claws, which are up to 20 centimeters long. SCP-966 are visible only under specific wavelengths, making them invisible to the naked eye. But yes, they can
Ooh.
still harm you even when they're invisible to you. Although physically weak with hollow bones and little muscle mass, they are highly agile and silent. These bastards hunt alone or in pairs, targeting medium to large animals, including
Aw.
humans. They emit a mysterious wave that permanently disables the victim's ability to enter REM sleep. So maybe those nights you couldn't sleep, one of these morons was near you. SCP-966 stalks you, amplifying stress through noises or hallucinations until the prey
Oh,
collapses,
sick.
at which point they feast.
Feast mode activated.
Victims often suffer from
Okay.
extreme paranoia, rage, and vivid hallucinations before being game ended. So yeah, kids, wear your night vision goggles on before sleep.
Okay. Let me just buy some night vision goggles.
SCP-05. SCP-3812.
What was that?
SCP-3812 is one of the most powerful and unstable entities
What
in the
the hell
entire
was that?
SCP Foundation mythos. It's classified as Keter due to its reality-altering abilities and severe mental deterioration, being more unstable than insulting someone's ship on disk. A human who died in 1996, SCP-3812 reportedly rose from its grave and vanished, beginning its transformation into a nearly godlike being. Its immense power allows it to manipulate time, space, and narrative layers, reshaping reality on a multiversal scale. However, this power comes at the cost of its sanity. SCP-3812 suffers from an advanced form of schizophrenia caused by exposure to higher levels of narrative, beyond what a human mind can comprehend. It frequently alters the world around it, sometimes
hell?
erasing people or events from
What?
existence without even being aware of what the hell he's doing. The Foundation genuinely cannot contain it, and instead
What the hell?
monitors it from a distance, currently over the South Pacific, as SCP-3812 continues to ascend through realities.
What was the one that flashed on the screen? Oh. That's crazy. Yeah. I learned a lot. There's a lot of SCPs. We haven't even seen all of them.